Well, I've got one for you today that you probably wouldn't be expecting. But first, I want to say this is January the 21st, and exactly 25 years ago today, I was moving into Hanover Towers. Had put my furniture on a truck, left Tennessee, snow on the ground, snow on the highways, and it took the truck so long to get here that they couldn't finish unloading my furniture in one day. They had to stay in a motel overnight and come back and finish the next morning. So that was 25 years ago. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to believe such a thing as that. Now, I'm wearing the same shirt I had on yesterday in case you think I'm running out of shirts. I'm not. I just believe in wearing it at least twice before you wash it. I went down to get my mail this afternoon, and the doorman, I talked to him a few minutes. He's such a delightful person to have a conversation with. And he informed me that one of our neighbors had passed away last week. Well, when he told me who it was, I thought, oh my goodness, she was one of my favorites. She has been here, I'd say, almost as long as I have. And tiny, petite little lady. She came on at first with a sort of dry manner. I wasn't sure how to take her, but with my sense of humor, I was able to get a little of the real lady out of her. And I learned she did have a sense of humor like I did. So we were going to get along real well. I decided that she was the lady. I think there were quite a few children in her family growing up, and I think you might say she was a fairly well-to-do lady in her marriage. Because, now, I based this on one simple little fact, and you probably think this is silly, but every Thursday we would have our little chit-chat gatherings in one of the side rooms of the lobby, and everybody brought their little drink with them, some little hot toddy or something. And I always took my Dr. Pepper, and several people, different ones each time, would bring snacks. Now, they were pretty good at picking out the things they would prepare. And I noticed she always brought a pretty dish with pretty hors d'oeuvres on it. You could tell they were well prepared. And I thought, this lady is one of those that probably belong to the bridge clubs or to the organization with ladies that did things rather posh. You know what I mean. You look forward to seeing what she was going to bring because you knew it was going to be special. Well, one day, I don't know what we were talking about, and this little lady started telling me about when she got married. She got married in New York City. Lady from Kentucky. Well, there was a television show called Bride and Groom. Have you ever heard of it? Now, some of you that around my age may have heard of Bride and Groom. It was first on the radio, and then it came on television. Now, I never did see it, but she said, oh yes, she said, my husband and I got married on that television show. You got married on a television show? She said, well, yes, you sent in your name, and I guess it's one of those send in an application, and if they chose you, they paid your way to New York. Now, she didn't tell me if they drove or if they went by plane, but I'm going to guess that back in those days, which was probably the early 1950s, they probably drove to New York, because not too many people were flying in those days. So today, I got to thinking about her, and the way when she told me her story, I was just absolutely fascinated to think that someone could go to New York and get married on a television show. She said, well, it was just a 15-minute show. Well, I remember every night at 6 o'clock, Perry Como came on, and his show was 15 minutes every night. So it must have been one of those kind of shows, And she said, yes, it was a 15-minute show, and they had their wedding. I thought, how in the world do you have a wedding in 15 minutes? Well, of course, the show production people had everything ready, and they even provided wedding apparel. They had a singer. So I went on the internet this afternoon. I thought, I wonder if I can find anything about that show, Bride and Groom. Well, sure enough, I did. And there was a video, an old video of a couple. And this couple was, I believe they were in their 70s. And of course, this was a second marriage for both of them, because their spouses had died. And I watched a 15-minute wedding. Now, she had her bouquet of flowers. He was dressed very nice in his Sunday suit. And their friends or family were there for the wedding. And, in those days, someone always sang a solo. And wouldn't you believe, this young man with the studio started singing the song Because. Oh, no, surely not. That's the song my sister sang at my wedding. Because you come to me with nonsense love. I forgot the words. Anyway, she had a beautiful voice, so she sang Because. They don't sing songs like that anymore, but I always considered it the wedding song. So here was this elderly couple getting married, and that was the song being sung. Then I watched a second wedding. This was a young couple this time. They had each couple had a family there. I'm trying to remember. They had the advertisements for the show were Betty Crocker pie crusts, Betty Crocker's Bisquick. So you know how old the Betty Crocker products were just by watching one of these shows, because all these products are still using today, they were using back then. Well, when the show was over, I read where they gave wedding gifts to these people. And here are a few of the things they gave them. a sewing machine with a cabinet. They gave an electric iron, a stove, a toaster, a set of sterling silver, and they even provided them with a Pontiac car to use for their honeymoon. Now, they didn't give them the car. They just gave them the use of the car. Well, that's pretty good set of things. When you think about all of those things, that would amount to quite a bit of money. So I watched another young couple repeating what the minister said. I don't remember what denomination they were, but she was wearing the full white long wedding dress with a pretty veil, that went all the way down the back of the dress. And I thought, I wonder how many people realize that they had a show like that, Bride and Groom, a 15-minute television show where you could get married, and they provided everything that you needed for the wedding, all of the flowers, the dessert, the reception, and all of those gifts. Now, I'm going to suggest that you go on the internet and you just put in the old television show. It was produced first by CBS, and then after 2 or 3 years, I think it moved over to NBC. But just put in the television show Bride and Groom in the early 1950s. And you can, it's fun. It's fun to watch those little shows and learn this elderly couple. It was kind of funny because they lived in apartments across from each other. They would speak, when they come and go and talk in the hall. And finally, one day, he said, this is funny. I don't know exactly how he put it. He said, why don't we just put our things together, live together? Why? He said, well, there's no point in paying rent for 2 apartments when we just need one. So this was a Jewish couple, and she seemed a little bit shy, but he was ready for the wedding. You could tell he was anxious to marry this lady. But the younger couples, they looked so pretty in their bride dresses, and the men usually wore just a suit rather than a tux. So if this is something that you've never heard of, you'll find it interesting if you go on the internet and look it up. I'm going to go back and check out a few more of the weddings. They started about 1951, and they carried through until 1958. Now, I'm looking at my note to see if there's anything I left out. Think I got it all. Said live TV, lavish wedding, formal outfits were provided for the bride and groom and for the attendants. So this is just going to be a little short video, getting to where I can't think of any good stories. I really thought the one I did yesterday was one of my best ones. It was the one that I did about Cumberland Island saved, and about my neighbor who talked me into going to the Carnegie Center to get my books published. I expected to get a lot of comeback. But you know, it's hard to decide what to talk about, because the very things that I think are the most interesting draw the fewest viewers. And I don't understand that. And after telling the story about Cumberland Island, I thought this is a very interesting subject. There's so much more that can be told about the place. It's in Georgia, right along the coastline. And yet, it had probably among the fewest viewers I've had for any of my stories. Now, maybe you can explain that to me. I don't get it. I suppose it's just that maybe what you know and what you get used to is entirely different to what the viewers want to see and hear. So anyway, I'm hoping more people will come on and watch that video, because I think it is worth seeing, and there's so much more. And one of my viewers did tell me he has that book too. So I'm sure that he understands what a good book it is. And so anyway, I just want to keep my viewers, the numbers, as high as I can get. I know we all are monetizing. We're making money off of these things. But I didn't start the show for the money. I started the show because I needed something to do. I needed something to occupy my free time, and 90% of my time was free. So I've got to keep my viewers coming back. And I'm not sure how to do that, because all of my stories are true stories. I want to tell them exactly how they happen, when they happen, as much as I can. And I want to make them interesting. What may be interesting for me might not be for you. And most everything I talk about has to do with me and my life and my family's life. And now and then I come up with something that just pops in my head, and I think, oh, I think they'll like this story. But I'm thinking my stories are dying down. And I need suggestions on what to do to keep your attention. So if you have any good suggestions, some of the things you ask about my life, you know, they're personal things you just don't want to tell the world unless you're doing your own autobiography. And I don't think that'll ever happen in my case, because I wouldn't even get the money back for publishing the book. So let me know what you think about the Bride and Groom program. It's a sign of the times, And I just thought it was the cutest story when my neighbor started telling me my husband and I got married in New York City on a television show. What? You were on a television show? Yes, we went to New York City and we had our wedding on live television. I don't know, that's like being queen for a day. Oh my goodness. We wouldn't miss Queen for a Day on the radio. When you go from radio into television with the same show, it doesn't work. Your imagination can create so much better than the actual television program can show you. They're not the same. They're not as exciting as what you can imagine in your own mind. So I don't know if they could come up with a show like that. You remember Queen for a Day, don't you? I used to think, oh, give anything to get my mother on Queen for a Day. Just always felt like she was the kind of person that would make a good queen for a day. But again, I was a dreamer. I've always been a dreamer, dreaming up new things and things I wish I could do, places I wish I could go. And I was talking to a friend last night, and I was telling about someone I had met in England and his background and what have you. And she commented to me, Pat, you have met some very interesting people to be a small town girl, you know, never having been anywhere or done anything. And I said, well, you know, doing this YouTube channel has actually shown me that I have met a lot of interesting people. I just never added it up or given a lot of thought to the people I've met, the places I've been. But in last night's case, I had met a very, very important dignitary. But I didn't know he was until I got back home from England and someone started telling me who that man was that I had dinner with one night. Goodness gracious. He spoke 4 languages. And I was doing well to speak Appalachian. I guess that's what you'd call it. And this man was a very important person in Washington, D.C. He's gone now. As far as I know, his wife still has her business in California. And I keep thinking one of these days I need to send her a postcard and see if she remembers me, because I sure remember her. So I'm going to let this story go, but I did think it would interest you to hear something new and different, especially if you're much younger than I am. These things you've never heard of. A 15-minute television show called Bride and Groom. Thank you for watching me, and let me know what you think. Tell your friends to subscribe to my channel, or they don't have to subscribe. They can just watch when they want to. But if you subscribe, you get the attention given to you that I put a new segment on my channel. And usually they don't have to wait and look for it it comes up, pops up on the screen for them too. So I'm going to get off. I'm good. I've already had my dinner, and I got my TV fixed, thinking I was going to get some good movies on Turner Classic Movie, and I haven't seen a good one yet. So I have to go to YouTube and find me some good movies. But that's okay. I don't mind that. I'm still looking for some good stories to tell you. And if you've ordered my books, if you read them, tell me what you think. I like to hear from you. Oh, let me show you this. Some of you ladies that do needlework, especially embroidery and crochet and knitting. Now, I've seen them on some of these shows where they'll say, oh, I think that is tatting. Well, I'm looking at what they're working with and say, no, that's not tatting. Let me show you what tatting looks like. This is tatting. You see all those little circles and all those little loops. This is a very difficult art. And this was sent to me, it's a bookmark. It was sent to me by one of my viewers when I first started. This is the back side. So I keep this one, this bookmark, in my big Bible. My big Bible's down under the table here so that if I'm questioning something and want to find a little more information, I go to that Bible. I can just pull it out and look up what I'm looking for. But I think this is the Bible is the safest place I can put this and it be taken care of. And it has been taken care of since my friend Nancy sent it to me. I hope Nancy might be watching. I don't know if she watches anymore or not, but I hope she is, so she'll know I still take care of the nice bookmark she sent me. So, folks, you have a good day tomorrow. I hope your weather is better. It's not going to be good for a while, but maybe better. Dan's in Florida. She's trying to outrun the snow. She's going from one place to another. And she'll say, we're at such and such today. And I think they're trying to outrun the cold weather and the snow and get to a place where it's nice and warm and sunny. So I'll talk to you later. Take care.